Morning, everyone. Scott Jennings here. Just want to welcome you guys to the COVID Meal Series, Episode 3. Today, we're doing falafels. Nice, simple, light, refreshing. Quinn and I, what we want to do is today we wanted to give to our people that are vegans and vegetarians. So we have used nothing that is a meat product in this recipe, but we wanted to start off the day, get going. Push the button, Scott. There we go. All right. Well, this is what it looks like today in Lake. So in Lake Country, we're a little bit overcast. We know we got some stuff happening tomorrow, but that's all right. Who cares about the rain tomorrow? Today, it's all about being in the moment. So here we go. Here's Chef Quinn. Morning, Chef.
Morning.
All right, so we're making falafels. We're not doing anything today that has to do with meat products. This is for our vegetarians, our vegans. We've got no eggs. So I'm going to come back around here. Tell me, what do we got that's going to make up an amazing falafel?
So we got, first and foremost, you need your chickpeas. I would heavily recommend using dry. You can get away with using canned. You will need more binder because canned are obviously will be a little more mushy. I would heavily recommend soaking them for at least 6 to 12 hours. Overnight is preferred, as you will have a slightly better result. You want them to be a little soft because you're essentially going to be making them into chickpea flour more so than anything like that.
Okay, well, so we talked about this off air, but what if you went with a canned chickpea? What happens?
So with canned chickpea, you will pretty much get hummus pretty quick and they'll become quite mushy. That's why I was saying you would be more of a binder. I would heavily recommend adding like 5-6 tablespoons of like an oat flour or something with a little bit more bite to it rather than just like a normal all-purpose because it will have more texture. I would also say about half a teaspoon to a full teaspoon of baking soda as well, just to give it a little more leavening.
Gotcha.
You don't need that in this recipe at all, though.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let's go back. So we got the chickpeas. What else do we have in here?
So we have chickpeas. We have curly parsley and cilantro. I would recommend flat leaf over this. This is all we can find at our store. Usually we'd use red onion also, but sadly mine was spoiled, so we can go that way.
But that's okay. This is all about finding stuff that's in the fridge.
You got it home, and everything will work accordingly, right?
Adapt, improvise, overcome, and make a good meal.
Exactly. So it's about half of a white onion, about half a bunch of cilantro, and half a bunch of parsley, and about 3 to 5 cloves of garlic. I would recommend. It obviously plays with however garlic you'd want something. For seasoning, I have cumin, coriander, salt, pepper, cayenne, and a little bit of cinnamon.
Now it looks like we use Himalayan salt on here.
Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason. You can use any salt you want, but we just have it, and we just go Himalayan salt.
Okay, we just have it.
Yeah, we just have it.
Okay.
And then juice for about half a lemon. We're using a real lemon just because, like I said, we're cooking at home, and this is what we have available.
And again, what are with the cut oats? Do we need them, or is that
oats,
in case?
We do not need them for this because we luckily have soaked chickpeas. I was going to bring them out as an example. So if you were to start this recipe with canned chickpeas, have regular oats, or if you already had oat flour, sadly I do not, take these, put them in your food processor first for about 30 seconds to a minute just to get them to more of a chunk.
So to bind?
Yeah, to bind. Yeah.
Okay, but a healthy binder nonetheless.
Exactly. Put these in before everything else, because you do want these to break down before everything else goes in. Otherwise, you'll just have flakes throughout your falafel.
Okay, so during this particular recipe, we're not going to use the oats because we use the soaked chickpeas, and we put those into water and hydrated them last night around 5 o'clock. So it's 11 o'clock right now. So yeah, just 14, 15 hours, but we didn't need to wait that long.
No, exactly.
But overnight for sure.
Yeah, I heavily recommend it overnight. You can get away maybe in 4 to 6 would be fine. But yeah, besides that, I would heavily recommend these over canned any day, and often these will be much cheaper. You can buy a large bag of them for like $6.
Oh, that means our oven's up to temperature. Perfect.
Perfect. I will move that around.
Oh, look at that. See, we did a cooking show trick. We made some, but you can't see those right now. We made those ahead of time because it takes between 30 and 40 minutes to cook. So how long is it going to take to prep?
So to prep this, you literally have to, I recommend rough chopping everything first, just to make your processor not work as hard, because if you throw everything in more whole, it obviously, you might get more of a hummus first. Rather, you want these with a little bit more texture, a little more bite. You don't need these to be a very sweet paste. You want them to have a little bit of texture as well involved.
All right, well, let's bring it together. Let's see how easy this is.
So we will throw the chickpeas in first because those will need to break down the most. I'm not going to turn this on, like I said, until everything else is in.
Now, I guess the one question I have is, what if you don't have a food presser? Is this like a bugger to try to bring together using anything but a food processor?
You may be able to get away with using your blender in many small stages, but yeah, food presser is one of those tools that I know not everyone has, but definitely makes a considerable difference in prep time and also ease, because a blender will more or less soup this.
So before you turn that on, again, we always want to be conscious of the earth. We want to make sure that people look after it. We talked about compost, every little piece, and this is a biodegradable bag that we got from Glad. I can say that because we're not under copyrights and they're not a sponsor. But what's nice is you keep adding that to your compost and you get amazing dirt.
Exactly.
All right, well let's hit it. Let's see how many minutes it takes.
Maybe reason too why on video this is so good to show is because the texture of how you make this puree is pretty important. So if you make it too fine, you're simply going to make a lumpy, sad hummus, and you don't want to paste. The full paste will be less than desirable on the palate. So scrape down your bowl multiple times, just so you can get the proper consistency.
Okay.
Some food processors have a bowl scraper built in. Ours is not.
Well, it's nice too because you're picking up a little bit of the smells from the spices, but very subtle. You can smell that garlic, and that's just really nice. But it's not pungent. It's not heavy smell because we use a little bit of cold garlic that we put in the fridge, and we had some that were at room temperature. So just two different levels. But it's because you ran out of garlic, and I had some in the fridge. That's the only reason why we've got hot and cold.
Mm-hmm. Plus, your oils really will start flying around a little more in food processor. So if you look here, we have a little bit. We might have 1 or 2 whole chickpeas left. That's fine. Like to a degree, having a little chunks like that is more than fine. Don't worry about it because any more than this, I will say you're getting towards hummus, more pasty territory. So from here,
so that's it.
That's it. You got about 2 minutes of food processing. The hardest part, the most long time that it takes to make this is forming them, and you can do this any way you really want. I prefer to make them more chicken nugget style. And you want to make them rather thick. If you make them too thin, they'll be quite dry in the middle. Well, dry in its entirety, not just in the middle, I should say. But
okay, so basically, we've just used the moisture of the chickpeas to make this, but we haven't used any oil.
You do not need any oil in your mix, no.
Okay, but you've got oil there.
I have oil there. So we're going to put about a little under a quarter cup on the sheet pan. I know that seems like a lot of oil. It's because it is. We are going to be essentially I wouldn't say it's arguably air frying because it's not shooting it in the air, but we will be coating the pan pretty evenly, and then we'll be flipping these halfway through. So it's going to be almost like a pan, almost like an air fry, because you're not going to be fully submerging this.
Okay, so question for you. I mean, we already did a pre-batch because we want to show people what it looked like when it was done.
It does take 40 minutes, and this is live.
Now, I'm used to always putting tinfoil. I like to put tinfoil down on mine, but you said don't. It won't work if you do that.
Arguably, you may be able to put tinfoil. I feel like you get a more non-stick surface without it, and also the oil. You're essentially cooking on it in a pan. Also, with this type of recipe, if you were to look at the other one, you won't be making a mess. Nothing's going to stick to this pan. Nothing's going to burn to it unless, of course, you leave it in the oven far longer than recommended.
Okay, you're moving too fast. I'm just kidding. All right, so let's do your work. I'm the guy holding the camera.
This is what's going to take your forever. So
I said it once, and I said on episode 1 and 2. I love holding the camera because that means that he's cooking dinner.
So
and now,
tablespoon ball.
Oh, let's take a look at that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll do a close up again. Oh yeah, okay. So I'm trying to describe what that would look like. I guess if you're someone who's used to making like cookies, you kind of make it a little bit thick, but not like a cookie. This doesn't flatten itself out.
This will keep it shaped. Whatever you make these, you can make these bigger than this. I prefer them this size. They'll cook a little more evenly and at a better rate.
Look at that big piece of parsley in there. That is nice. And see how nice that shape is, but more importantly, what that food processor does.
Yeah, just to get that little bit of texture in the grid. That's what you won't get with a canned chickpea, and that's why you need the binder such as the oat, because it'll be more pasty. It will definitely not have this more of a chunk, more of a crunchy nature to it.
Okay, so again, we're always talking about different flavors and things of that nature. So, I mean, for me, this will be the second time I've ever had a falafel. The first time I had a falafel, I did mention off camera that it was a little bit dry. And you said, in your opinion, how do you get a dry falafel if you were to, buy them in a package or what?
Well, just like almost anything, because you'll be buying pre-packaged. That's also what's great about this, because it costs almost nothing to make. And obviously we'll go over that at the end of the video. But They're pre-cooked. You're gonna have a pre-cooked product, and then you're gonna be reheating it. So you're just asking for things to start getting dry at that point. Also, for most places when you go to, they're gonna deep fry it. You're gonna deep fry it. You're just pulling moisture out of it left and right. You'll have more of a crunch. You'll have more of a crisp of it. Baking though, I've never had an issue. I would definitely recommend baking them over frying, except for the time. If you want to deep fry them, you can probably deep fry them about 4 minutes or less, because obviously it's a little quicker. But
most people don't have deep fryers either. So that's why you went with a little bit more, like a half a cup. Sorry, not a half a cup, about a quarter cup of oil. So you're going to allow that to do like you said, an air fry on a pan, as opposed to just deep frying. I mean,
or even shallow frying in a cast iron pan. You could do obviously, of course, but again, you're going to be throwing a lot more oil into your product.
Okay, so when you were working at the restaurant and you were making these up, I know you make these at home all the time. How have you served these in the past? Like in pita pockets, on their own, on a salad? I mean, is it whatever you want?
It's pretty versatile. You can throw it on a salad. I would heavily recommend it on a salad as a meat substitute, because these are full of protein. These are full of fiber. These are just great to have around. I love them just having, like a breakfast sandwich. You can make them more patty-like if you wanted to, if that was something that you'd wanted. Or in veggie wraps, like Dad said as well. Pita pockets are a great thing with tzatziki peppers. You can go a lot of ways with these. You can eat them on their own. They can literally be a chicken nugget replacement for your kids if you wanted to.
I mean, if you wanted to, and I know some people, you've got your vegans, not everybody likes to have yogurt just because it comes from an animal, but a simple tzatziki sauce is more or less shaved and try to get as much moisture out of a cucumber. And then from there, you want to add some yogurt, some salt, pepper, some garlic. Was there anything else you'd want to add? A little dill? Did you want to add any lemon juice to that? Just to kind of...
Lemon juice and zest. I recommend using both.
Okay, perfect.
If you don't have zest, that's fine.
And you said one of your favorites is tahini dressing, not tahini in itself.
Yeah,
what would you put into tahini dressing?
Tahini dressing, so you'll have if you have it tamari, you can of course use soy sauce, but tamari is heavily recommended.
But tamari is also gluten-free.
It is gluten-free. That's also why we use it for your sake.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
But that garlic, olive oil, I use avocado oil in it as well. Really is nice. Sambalek is something I prefer just because I like it a little spicy. And salt, pepper, and you're pretty much off for the races for a basic tahini dressing.
Hey, look at that. We wash our hands. COVID-19. There you go. All right. So what happens next once you finish washing your hands?
So from here, we are setting up our oven to about 425 degrees, 400 to 425, subjectively on thickness. If you want a little thicker, have your temperature be a little lower because you're obviously going to be cooking them for longer. If you're going to have them thinner, more of a burger style, or if you're making them more thinner disc, have them at a higher temperature, and you're going to try to cook them as quickly as you can to not have the inside dry out this week. Luckily, these hold their moisture pretty well.
All right, well, let's get them into the oven. So we got the oven set, 4 1/4.
Middle rack, preferably.
All right. Now, we pulled these guys together beforehand. Look at that, beautiful. Do you want to bring one over? Let me, again, live TV. Let's go to a brand new cutting board. Let's take a look at what these are all about. And this will be my first homemade falafel.
We've let these cool for about, 7-8 minutes now, so they're nearly room temperature. I definitely would say eat these right out of the oven, or if you're not going to eat them right away, freeze them before baking, I'd recommend. Just freeze them on the sheet pan, then you can throw them inside of a Ziploc bag. After you have cooked them, they'll last about 4 or 5 days in the fridge happily, but they'll last for months in the freezer. That is
uncooked, though. It has to be uncooked.
Well, you could cook them, but then they'll come into the situation we've talked to you about before. They'll become dry.
All right, well, let's crack one of these guys open.
Obviously, I could just cut it and break it with my hand.
Oh, wow. Oh, that is nice.
So you're crunchy on the outside, then you'll be completely soft.
All right, well, allow me to have a half, and you try it. Oh, wow.
Really garlicky, crunchy.
Oh, my goodness, guys. That is unbelievable when it's fresh. So, based on the thickness, and you can see these are about 2 centimeters thick. Mm-hmm. That was 425 degrees. We did 20 minutes on the front, turned it on the back side.
For about 8 to 10 more minutes. I should have chucked them sooner. I would say 15 minutes one side.
Oh, these are so good. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, there you go. There's the COVID meal series. You got Chef Quinn myself, Scott Jennings, with the Remax team here at searchkelowna.ca. So glad you guys were able to join us. One question, Quinn. This didn't take that long to put together.
No.
I have to ask, cost. Because remember, COVID meal series is all about economics and eating good, eating well, healthy meals. How much cost?
Well, cost-wise, for the bag of chickpeas, it's depending on how bulk you buy them. We buy them in bulk. For the amount we use, probably about max $2. I would say your onion is going to run you about 70 cents to $1 max, and then you're looking at about $2 per bundle for your fresh herbs. But luckily, it's summertime now. Just assume we'll be able to get those out of the garden in about 2-3 weeks here. So essentially, those will become free. Seasonings, pennies on the dollar. So altogether, we're looking at $5, and you can get 2 full batches of this, and I'm saying you get 30 pieces. Because for the recipe we currently gave you enough to make 2 sheet pans worth. We saw in the oven, we set out.
Oh, easily $10. I mean, it might even be less than that.
Oh, easily,
Because that big bag of chickpeas that we got was $6.99, and I only used half of it.
Oh, exactly. So yeah, $5 to $10 per full batch. Yeah.
Well, there you go. COVID series number 3 in the bag. Hopefully you guys can take a look at the recipe. We posted it on their Facebook. We're going to start doing that in advance. So please share what you guys like to put on your falafel. If you've never had a falafel, again, this is the first time I've had fresh. They're really good. I mean, gosh, I wish we had some of that tzatziki, but we juiced all of our cucumbers this morning when we had a blender.
We ran out of yogurt.
We ran out of yogurt. So it is what it is. Anyways, guys, have an amazing May-long weekend. Love that you were able to join us. We got a good group here, and it's nice to see my friends. Anyways, have a great day from Scott and Chef Quinn. Cheers.
Ciao.